The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
Greetings and welcome to another episode of Bermuda's Feel Good. Good day, Bermuda, supported by Pete's House and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Terri Tuku alongside Jackie Lambert, and we want to thank you for getting up bright and early with us on this Friday morning. Jackie, it's the last day of the work week. Well, for some of us.
Yeah, because I'm not working today after this. I don't know you though, Terri, with the music. Do you like dance? Because sometimes I do like choreography.
Yeah, I be bobbing my head and then I'm like, oh wait, stop. Well, I mean, not stop, but it's like you should probably kind of come back to reality, sis, for a minute, because just saying. It'd be funny if we're just like doing this. Like complete side note. So at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy, you know how the baby Groot's just doing his little dance and then he stops? That's how I feel sometimes.
Yes. I'd like do a little bump and then I'm like, okay, gather yourself, be professional. The show's coming on.
Exactly. But then I'm like, I want to be Groot for a second. I see we have some audience members here with us. So good morning to you, Sean Smith. Thank you so much for joining. And good morning to Shea. Thank you so much for joining and coming back to the comments, because I feel like we haven't seen you in the comments. Like, I'm pretty sure you've been watching, but we haven't seen you in the comments. So if you're joining us, go ahead and make sure that you give us a good morning greeting or use your favorite good morning emoji to tell us that you're in the building with us or in the virtual building. Jackie and I are excited for our feel good topic of the day because we're talking about mental awareness, but we're talking about it for children and adolescents with our featured guest, Chardonae Rawlins. And this is a conversation that I don't think you want to miss out on, whether you have children or don't have children, because I think all of us can benefit from knowing how we can assist those that are coming behind us, because we're all actively doing it in our own lives, but it'd be great for us to see how we can help others that are younger than us and support those that are actually doing that work. So make sure you stick around for that. And as always, if you want to laugh to get your morning started, stick around for our feel good vibe of the day, which is joke time with Jackie. And now today's feel good warm up is actually going to continue the conversation we started yesterday. So Jackie and I had this conversation with y'all yesterday morning. Some of you may not have been here. As part of the conversation, we were talking about the declining birth rate here in Bermuda. And to our surprise, Twitter was having a day. And they were talking about it. And so we asked one of our good friends if we could use his tweet for today's feel good warm up. And so we wanted to ask you this question. What do you consider to be a comfortable salary to have or want to have children here in Bermuda, or probably wherever in the world you are? But we'll talk specifically about Bermuda because there were a lot of differing answers yesterday from what I saw.
I sit on this question a lot. I really do. Because obviously I work with kids, I work with the families, and sometimes you have to give a deal. They're in so many activities, and I'm just like, I tell them like, kids are expensive. And the parents come back and they're like, no, Jack, you have no idea. I just bought cereal for my kid the other day because they have like the growth spurts, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you start off and she's just like, I bought 3 boxes of cereal. Do you know how much cereal costs these days? 3 boxes. Do you know how long they've lasted me? The week hasn't even really begun. I got the boxes of cereal on Sunday. It's Tuesday. They're gone. And now I have to go and get more. And I'm just like...
I definitely feel for people because we even talked about it yesterday, right? The cost of living is probably the biggest contributing factor as to why people are not having as many children as generations past. And I mean, with good reason. Like, if it takes me, like we talked about the example of rent, like if I'm paying more than half of my income in rent alone,
Mhm.
the rest of the things I probably can't afford to do either. So it's definitely one of those things where it's like, what number is the magic number? And I actually want to bring in this comment from Tashia. She says, Lord, that's a hard question. No matter how much you get frustrated with how much you spend overall weekly and monthly.
No, seriously, like that's the. Oh, sorry. Read
And I
on.
was going to bring this in. She said it's hard to have your dream family here these days. And I think that's
Absolutely.
actually a perfect point. Go ahead, Jack.
No, I forgot my thoughts. You know.
No,
I was
Urson.
just thinking, I usually do this. No, it came back to me because I remember what
It
it
was
was.
just right there.
I know it's going off the first comment. If you're a penny pincher like myself, I hate spending money, but at the same time, I can impulsively buy. But
Mm,
it's like when I have to spend that money, it's
mhm.
just like, wow, that's a lot of money consistently that I have to spend out, and I just can't part with that much money on a regular occasion. Impulse buying is like one here, one there, sporadically. But
Mhm.
having a kid is every week you have to spend this much on groceries, and sometimes it actually differs, but it doesn't differ to be less. It's usually different to be more.
Oh,
So it's
yes.
like, okay, so I bought all these groceries and they didn't even last a week, and now I have to do X, Y, and Z and spend more to make your kids have to stay alive. It's
I think,
not a plant. It's not like, oh, I'll water it tomorrow.
and it'll be fine, especially if it's a succulent. You're fine. Just give it
Right?
away to the kids. It'll be fine. It's cool. So it's interesting because like Tashia said, there's no magic number, right? But I do think that even looking at my current situation, because I technically have a dependent, although I'm not like paying for all her things. And I really think like given my current salary, like it has to be at least what like it has to be six figures. And like 150 and up. In my mind, when you think about whether even it doesn't even matter if you're because I think co-parenting adds extra expenses to it, right? Because there's two households, so both of us are paying separate things. But even if we're in the same household, like I just feel like 150 and up feels like a comfortable number because I feel like after your regular expenses are taken care of, you might still have a salary left to put towards your children and the extracurricular activities, daycare, healthcare, all of that stuff. I think it kind of can be encompassed in that extra like salary because I feel like you need a salary, like a basic salary, additional to your regular salary in order to cover your kids.
I agree. I used to have these conversations like my dad and I would go for a drive and we'll look around and he'd be like, to live in Bermuda comfortably, you and your partner separately should bring in 100K a year.
At
And
least.
like, right, at least. And he's just like,
And how long ago was that?
I'm thinking like 5 to 7 years ago was the
So
last.
add inflation, so that's at
Right.
least 10% more.
My ability to realize time no longer exists because COVID. I'm just like, that's before COVID. Easy. We got for COVID.
No, it's literally like the time step, like anything
Yeah.
but BC before Corona is
How long has
definitely.
it been around now? Basically going on 3 years. So I'm gonna add 2 more years to that conversation.
I just love that we're gonna be talking about it this moment in time as BC and AC.
Right? Mm,
That is hilarious. But Tashia goes on to say, yep, the sacrifices you have to make and always something that pops up that they need. And I think this gotcha expenses are probably what that whole comfortable amount is what we're thinking of, right? Because you do need that buffer in order to make sure that you have enough for those extra things that your child might need because children love a little something something extra. Oh, so and so's got this. Can I have? May I have? I would like to try.
Don't forget the birthday parties that you're invited to. So now you have to get a gift. So you might as well just add another 30 grand. I feel like just
That's what I'm saying. Like
for margin for error, you didn't calculate properly. 30 grand.
you genuinely need at least another salary. Like intro salary is like 50, 60K. And I feel like honestly, that's like your bare minimum benchmark on top of your regular salary to take care of you and yourself, you and your spouse is like regular expenses. Because I feel like if you don't have that buffer, house way. Oh, I want to bring this comment in from Sean Smith, Jack.
With a 2-income household, it's a little bit easier as you can use either paycheck to cover the bills, while a portion of the other person's paycheck can be put aside. Yeah, that's what kind of like what we was talking about. I think it was yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather have that 2-person house, like that person in the house with me, that's helping me. Not that I am opposed to people's lifestyle of living separate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My preference is you being right there with me in the fight.
And then it's really what is interesting though, to bring that point back to even those that are co-parenting for whatever reasons. To his point, it still needs to be like serious income. Like they still need to both have serious income, because let's say one person doesn't have to pay rent because they're in a homestead or their rent's lower. Like it still can become tricky depending on which parent is the primary.
And I wonder if people have conversations about like life insurance prior to having kids, because we've seen how life just switches up on us and a parent passes away and it's just like, okay, now I have to do all of
that with one.
And I really wonder if people think about life insurance so that some of that money can come back and assist where needed.
Absolutely. I mean, I feel we're gonna say this probably.
Yes, yeah, I think too much.
I was gonna say, like, I feel like, and from the conversation on social media, there was no like right answer, right? Because everyone had what they believe would work for them in their situation. And I definitely think it warrants a conversation for those that are interested in being parents, whether they're in a relationship or not, because you don't want to be caught out and then looking at your child as like this financial burden when you made the decision to have them. Like they didn't ask to be here. So it's definitely one of those things that, and it was interesting that a male brought this particular question to the TL, the timeline for this. I don't know what TL means, because it definitely was just a really good conversation starter. And I want to wrap it up with this comment from Tashia. She says, life insurance is a must. I split it between my children. And so listen, if you don't have life insurance, contact one of the insurance companies on the island to see what they have to offer. Just start the conversation. It's never too late. In my opinion, if you're still breathing, it's never too late to get your life insurance sorted out.
Never, because you could make bigger payments and have the same type of return. So you can play catch up.
And even if you can, something's better than nothing. Trust and believe. Something is better than nothing. Jacky and I are going to take a quick commercial break, and then we'll be back to welcome our featured guest of the day, Chardonae Rawlins. Do not go anywhere. We are going to be discussing child and adolescent mental awareness. So that is a conversation we know you don't want to miss. Stick around. Jacky and I will be right back.
Same smooth sounds, different name. BCG Radio, home of Bermuda's most engaging morning talk shows, The Daily Hour and Good Day Bermuda. Download the app, available for Android and Apple devices. BCG Radio, your station for conversations and entertainment.
Welcome back to Good Day Bermuda, supported by Pizza House and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Terri Tuku alongside Jacky Lambert. And if you're just joining us, please take a minute to share this episode wherever you're watching. We're about to get started with our Feel Good topic of the day. It's kind of connected to our Feel Good warm-up. We are discussing child and adolescent mental awareness. We have a featured guest backstage. Her name is Chardonae, and we would like you to help us welcome her to Good Day Bermuda by dropping your favorite good morning emoji, or just say good morning to Shardy as she joins us. Good morning, Shardy. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Morning.
So we want to start this conversation off somewhat of an icebreaker, but it's going to be allowing you to talk about yourself. Tell us about your background. Tell us, where did you study? What did you study? And why did you choose that field?
Okay, so my bachelor's is in psychology with honors from Kingston University, London. And my master's is a Master of Science in Child and Adolescent Mental Health from University College London. I would say I chose these fields because forever, I'll say since growing up, I'll say maybe around adolescence, I decided that I wanted to work in a field where I can work with kids and also like make people's lives better. Mm-hmm. So when I was in boarding school, that's when I first took psychology. I took psychology, anthropology, and sociology. And it was nice because I realized that psychology actually can make a difference and help people. And then I done a nice internship kind of summer worker job with a clinician on island. while I was in high school. So I was able to get more experience about the field. And I was like, okay, I really like this. And the clinician at the time, he worked with children. So he showed me some of the tests and things like that and how it's like really rewarding. So he kind of gave me the boost to want to do it. So then I did it for my bachelor's, came back, worked at another private practice to get more experience to kind of ensure I do want to work with children and adolescents, because I was torn between forensics and then children and adolescents. But then over the trajectory of my my schooling, I realized that everything that happens to you as an adult stems from childhood. So that kind of was like my pivotal moment. So yeah, that's what made me want to do it.
I love that.
Me too, because it obviously that last little bit that you said, everything that happens, stems from childhood. So what about your childhood experiences do you think have kind of maybe subconsciously pushed you in this direction?
Oh, definitely. I went to all girls private school. That says enough of in itself, right? Adolescence is the hardest period of life, and your brain's development, you got different hormones going on. You're trying to find out where you fit, what you like, what you don't like. You're still trying to appease your parents, but you want to be yourself. So I would say that adolescence was a pivotal time for me. And just, going to an all girls private school, it's tough. It's tough for everybody. But I ended up having to go to boarding school. Well, I wanted to go boarding school, so I kind of got away. But yeah, I definitely would say that some of my own personal life experiences did want to push me in this direction to ensure that the children do have a voice, and that, situations such as like bullying, they do impact you mentally as well. It's not just get over it type thing, because I think back in the day, they kind of normalized what we call adverse childhood experiences. And it's like, well, you kind of just get over that, rather be like bullying or your parents going through divorce or separation. Those are adverse childhood experiences. They do alter the way you think, the way you feel, and things like that. So, yeah.
Do you think sorry, Terri, do you think
That's fine.
Sorry. Do you think that those make you more empathetic and easier to be more understanding to the kids that you are currently working with or have worked with in the past?
Yeah, I definitely would say so. Because, for certain things I can't relate to, and I'm pretty sure that other people in this field and even clinicians are able to relate to a certain degree. But transference is real. It's a thing in psychology, but you have to kind of, block that out and process it with your supervisor and things like that, because transference pretty much is like when you're talking to a client and then you're kind of like really, really relating to it, and you're starting to feel the same effects that they're feeling. So you can kind of have those things. And I'm already like a big crybaby as it is. I'm very empathetic. So when you hear sometimes the sad stories, it does make me think back to different things that not maybe I experience, but people like my peers experience. So those things do happen, and it's normal. It's okay.
I love that you said it is normal, right? It is normal to be human
Mhm.
in this world. It's okay to have the same feelings, but the training, I guess, is what helps you guys be able to separate when necessary. And I wanted to switch gears because, we earlier in the conversation, we were talking about children, having children, making the decision to have children and all of that. We know that some children throw temper tantrums, and it's usually a hurdle that comes up in their twos, the toddler ages. And we're quick to tell people, okay, that's a terrible twos, it's fine. What are some ways that we can work with children to help them self-regulate as parents, or just those of us that maybe are interacting with children?
Firstly, please know that tantrums are normal, and it does not always just stand in terrible twos. Tantrums can prolong themselves. Self-regulation is something that is taught early on, and you can do it through like modeling behavior and scaffolding. So, this phrase like monkey see, monkey do. So children do model how their parents react to situations. You may think that they're too small to understand or maybe articulate what's going on with you, but if you're having a bad day and you're lashing out about the bad day in home, your children's then going to want to lash out if something happens to them, right? It's a learned behavior. But if you use tools like mindfulness and scaffolding, which pretty much means you're going to guide them. So if, I don't know, your child's having a temper tantrum and, it's been going on for about 5-10 minutes now, and you could be getting embarrassed. So you can't take the route of aggression and be like, hey, just stop and give them what they want. Or you can take a calmer, more soothing approach, which teaches them to rely on external, coping strategies. So you can just guide them and say, okay, I understand you're upset right now. So how about we take a calm down break or breather, or we can do draw me a picture like mindful coloring so I can see how you're feeling, right? That teaches them different ways other than having the lash out moment to express themselves. Because when you're that young, especially like around the toddler age, you're not able to articulate yourself, and you don't have enough existing coping strategies in order for you to calm down yourself, right? Because basically the way we model ourselves in public, that's based on societal standards. And that too, you don't really know those things, right? You have to learn it through experience, and it comes over time. I would say it's also important for parents to realize that genetics and biology do play a large factor when it comes to your child's temperament. So you're going to somewhat naturally have some children who are a little bit more aggressive than others, but there's always coping mechanisms that you can teach that child to manage their temperament, right? Also, it's very important for parents to understand that if you constantly give into your child's tantrum, they're not going to learn how to emotionally self-regulate on their own, and they're going to always look to you or another adult to fix their problem instead of them being able to do it on their own, if that makes sense.
Perfect sense.
I'm sitting here and I'm like, go, Shawty, this is such. Because obviously I work with kids, so sometimes you're just like, you see the parents that they give me, and I'm just like, oh, that's going to turn into kind of like a manipulation tactic as they get older.
Definitely.
They know that if I act this way long enough, I'm going to just act like this one more minute. My mom's going to give me in, and I don't have to play tennis today. Or my mom's and she's going to go to the store and get me all those candies that I don't even need, but I want. So I get it. Like when I say I get it, whoo. But I do want to switch gears a bit, because as adults, we know that we have to work out to release stress, get the endorphins. How important is it to keep your child active so that they can get those happy chemicals surging through their body as well?
It's very important. Children should have a well-rounded routine that includes, healthy eating, exercise, less screen time, because screen time does impact your child's brain development, and things like that. It's very important. Like, I know when I eventually have kids, Jackie, I done every sport, every instrument under the sun, right? I was on the go. So, and I think it helps because it teaches them responsibility. It teaches them time-making skills, and time management skills as well, because you have to balance schoolwork and extracurricular activities. And plus, it's teaching them a different skill that they can help them when, make more friends and external relationships outside of their core family, as well as their core friendship group at school. So I would say it's very important. They need to feel those feel-good hormones. And plus, you want to be healthy, right? Because we're already an obese population, including myself. So like, you have to, you want to encourage those things for your kids. It really helps, and it helps balance their mental health as well. Because if doing a walk a day for an adult helps clear your mind, imagine what it's like doing sports for children.
I love that. I feel like you're preparing me for kids. I'm sitting here, I'm just like, okay, I could do that. Oh, that's easy. Yeah, I'm not doing it on my own there. I'm not. I can't.
Yeah, 10 out of 10, don't recommend. Like
So I wanted to ask this one but I wanted to mention, because we saw recently that you posted online that you've been working with 4 children now. And how does it feel to be at this early stage in your career, I guess, post master's degree, to be having a positive impact on your clients?
Honestly, it feels surreal. Like, it feels like a dream. I have wanted to do this for practically 10 years now. So to be able to, have clientele, and for someone who has just come back to the island. I've been here almost 2 years now, but the first year of me being back, I was finishing school, settling in, trying to get a job in my field and things like that. And to now to be at the point where I can take on clients myself, and they're actually reaping the benefits of their parents, spending money with me. Right? It's very nerve-wracking as well. But it's great. I'm having really good feedback. I have people who, are trying to get in with me, but I do put my job first. So there is kind of like a little wait list per se going on, but I'm really enjoying it. Like, I love it. I look forward to seeing my clients. I look forward to, assisting the families. Honestly, I didn't think that this was possible at this young. I was thinking like I had to have my doctorate degree, then I can do X, Y, and Z. Then it's like, oh wait, no, you can do a counselor with your degree. So counseling is a type of therapy, so that works. So yeah, it's really nice. I'm really enjoying it.
I love that. I love that for you.
Thank you.
She knows I love it for her. I tell her once a month I send her like a tear jerker type of thing.
Yeah, she does. And I'm like, I'm a crybaby. Please stop.
Like, yes, if you're wondering if I cry while I'm typing this, absolutely, because I have watched Chardonae literally grow from like
7.
Yeah, seen her, watched her whole life. But Chardonae, when we talk about mental health, there is a stigma. Most people think that you only need therapy to be reactive. But how important is it to be proactive, and especially with children? Because a lot of people, like I said, they're like, okay, something's not right, we're gonna go to therapy, versus let's make sure that you have the counseling, professional counseling, to help you get through life without having to deal with the processing of trauma situations on your own, or with myself that doesn't know exactly how to make things right.
Well, unfortunately, in Bermuda, mental health is still very stigmatized, even though we have a lot of mental health going on this island.
Yeah.
I would say that as a parent, you were able to know that, sorry, I'm laughing. My cousin just put that comment. As a parent, you were able to know your child. You should know your child, right? You should know what triggers them, what affects them, and if they've been through a traumatic experience, such as, emotional abuse or abuse in general, or like bullying or parental separation, there's a shift in their behavior. And as a parent, you should know your child well enough that, okay, something's going on here, right? And it's okay to lean on someone else for help. I find that probably gonna get a lot of flack for this, but in our community, we tend to lean a lot on God, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I have Christian beliefs, but God invented this profession for a reason, right? Because, like they say in the Bible, prayer without work is null and void. So you have to do the work. And if you have people who went to school for this type of profession that can give you the work, can help you do the work and provide you with the tools to get through things, then use it. It's okay. Like, going to therapy is not because, like, you're schizophrenic or you have bipolar. And if you are, that's also fine too. But people just think of the big parts of mental health that people always say, like, oh my God, she's schizo, oh my God, she's got bipolar. And it's like, you don't really know what you're saying, truthfully, right? So it's okay if you're having a bad day, it's okay if you're having low moods, or if you're feeling kind of anxious. It's not okay for you to have a child that's displaying, not normal behaviors, and you're not doing anything about it. That's a problem, in my opinion. That's a big problem. Put your pride aside and deal with your child as a parent, right? You want what's best for your children. If you're not able to help them get out of their dark place or help them process what they've been through, then you're going to have to lean on a therapeutic force to do that. And that's okay.
I love the sermon. And in case you didn't realize, we didn't plan that, but we needed that moment, because I do feel like sometimes people just need to have that shaken moment to kind of like really snap out of this culture that says, okay, therapy is for the crazy, therapy is for the people that have been labeled by society, and it can actually keep you from being labeled if you started early enough, as you mentioned, and even as Jacky asked. I love that response, and I definitely hope that people, as they continue to listen to the conversation, that they don't push it aside, say, oh, the therapy word, I'm not tuning in anymore, because it's really important that we start having these conversations openly as a community. That's the only way we're going to shift the culture.
Exactly.
Now, it's a whole panorama still going on outside with people talking about you can't do indoor, outdoor, 20 people or less, we got all these rules. How have you been able to have your sessions since, we've been limited in so many instances? Have you transitioned to virtual, or do you do in person? Like, how are your sessions set up right now?
Well, my sessions are relatively new still, but I can do teletherapy, and sometimes it's in person as well. But I would prefer tele because, COVID restrictions and things like that. So yeah, that works.
How does the children therapy work? Because I know you said that you're saying how you should be able to know your child if there's a situation where they have a traumatic experience, that you can take them to a therapist or to therapy, whichever the case may be. Does the first session include the parents and the child, or like, do you do family unit type of therapy to start with the child? Because some children are very closed off, they're not comfortable, but having that parent there may make them feel more comfortable. So how does it work?
So for me, I did it based on how we learned in my master's degree. I had created a biopsychosocial, which gets your biology, a psychology background, and then your social background. So your parents will fill that out. It's like your birthday, any experiences you've been through, any, medical history, any previous therapy experiences and things like that. It's an extensive form that your parent will fill out on the behalf of the child. And then from there, I meet with the parents and I will have a conversation with them about that and say, okay, well, what goals would you like for your child, right? And that's in the intake. So that's a free process. And then I can let you know based on what's there, if I'm best suited to help your child or if I think you should go somewhere else, right? Because there's a difference between a thin line between like counseling and then like, proper therapy when you go into a psychologist or psychiatrist. So I'm not on that level yet. So if I feel like I don't have enough experience to help you based off your biopsychosocial, I can refer you to someone else, right? And that's like your professional duty to do those things. After which, the parents sign contracts and whatnot, agree to scheduling times, and then we have another session where it's just myself and the child. And it's kind of like a session where I want to build therapeutic alliance. So like I ask them, like, tell me about yourself. What are your likes? What are your dislikes? If you had 3 wishes, what would they be? And then once they start to develop some type of trust with me, I then let them know that, okay, while you're here, what we talk about, it stays between me and you, unless you're going to harm yourself or others or you've been abused. Then I'm mandated to report, right? And it stayed in the parents' contract as well. So after we talk about those types of things, I dig a little deeper based off of what the parents have told me. So like the child's background history. So if a child's been bullied, for example, I can say a question like, okay, let's talk a little bit about friendships. What are your views on friends? Do you have any friends? Kind of beating around the bush to get the child to then talk about X, Y, and Z. And then we create a service plan for them that has a goal and objectives, and then it goes from there. So, yeah.
I love that. Sometimes as we're older, we're like, I don't want to beat around the bush and get straight to the point. But, at that age, it makes total sense because, as you mentioned earlier, even with toddlers, they don't have all of the skills necessary just yet to be able to kind of already do that internal work before responding. So I actually, although, as adults, we don't really talk about it, or we don't do it as much. I love that, you express that, we do beat around the bush to help them get comfortable because some people are probably a little bit concerned about like, okay, well, is my child going to be like traumatized from therapy? So I really love that.
And then like you have older kids. Like I had a client last night and she let me know off the bat, I don't trust you. You can tell my mama everything that I'm saying, right? So you want to build the trust and you don't want to come in from the angle like, well, your parents already told me everything, so I know your life. Realistically, yes, your parents do know, but the child's the person that has experienced what they've been through, right? So you want to get it straight from the horse's mouth and how they feel and things like that. So you kind of want to beat around the bush to build the trust and then go from there. After that first session of them, you can figure out a plan. You ask the child what goals they have, because realistically, once they start to open up a little bit, you can kind of get right in.
I love that. And earlier you mentioned that you're empathetic and that, even when you have moments where you can relate to a situation, you have to like, do that professional disconnect. How do you protect your mental health and your peace? Because obviously in some of these conversations, you may hear some really tough situations from these children that you now have to either unpack for yourself. So what do you do to kind of protect your peace?
I do a lot of self-care. And what most people don't know is that every therapist has a therapist. So you have to unpack, what's going on in your life. That's why it's called clinical supervision and things like that. You can unpack, talk about the clients and bounce ideas off, and then also talk about how it's impacted you. And it's okay. Like, we're not just people. I mean, think about it. If I'm going to sit up here and help people, quote unquote, fix their lives for a living, it's going to start to play on me, right? I'm going to start to think about, okay, well, what if I do this wrong with my kids and da-da-da-da, like what's going to happen? Is it going to be like this client, this, that, and the next? You start to internalize a lot of things. So we have therapists ourselves that we go to and unpack what needs to be unpacked.
I love that. The therapists have therapists, y'all. Don't you forget it.
Definitely good to hear that. Chardy, thank you so much for coming. This has been an experience that I've been excited about for however long we've been talking about this. Once again, thank you for coming. Hope you have an amazing day, and we look forward to having you back hopefully soon.
Thank you.
You're welcome, love. All right, audience, we hope you enjoyed that conversation with Chardy. If you did, go ahead and let us know in the comments. Jackie and I are going to take a quick commercial break, and then we'll be back to hear your thoughts on our conversation with Chardy. We're going to share ours, and then we'll get into our Feel Good Vibe of the day, which is Joke Time with Jackie. So if you want to laugh, make sure you stick around because Jackie has the best jokes.
Same smooth sounds, different name. BCG Radio, home of Bermuda's most engaging morning talk shows, The Daily Hour and Good Day Bermuda. Download the app available for Android and Apple devices. BCG Radio, your station for conversations and entertainment.
Welcome back to this episode of Good Day Bermuda, supported by Pete's House and Ayana's Restaurant. I'm Terri Tuku alongside Jacky Lambert, and we want to get your thoughts on our conversation with Chardonae Rawlins. It looks like Sean Smith enjoyed that conversation. Jack, I know, obviously you told us that you've known Chardy for a good minute, but what did you enjoy most about the conversation with Chardy so far? Or about today, because it's done.
I can't believe you're making me choose what my favorite part was.
What stood out to you? What stood out to you then?
Honestly, just her energy, and it's the fact that she's passionate about it.
Mm-hmm.
Some people choose careers because the money looks good, or your parents tell you like this is what's gonna, bring you the lifestyle that you desire. But she's actually passionate about it. Like I said, I grew up knowing Chardy, so I know what she has to offer, what she's experienced, how those experiences can actually help the next generation break that trauma. We don't want them to inherit trauma anymore. She's definitely found her purpose. You know how we search life for our purpose? Chardy has found it, and like at an early stage, she is capable of getting out there. I actually saw a tweet yesterday which just like, at what point does, they say the children are the future, but what point do they actually get to jump in? And
I saw that same tweet.
And Chardonae jumped in and she's doing it. So, just her being able to be here and have the conversation is exciting to me.
Absolutely. And I like that, although she mentioned, like, how we all do, you have to get the titles in order for you to feel like you're able to do the work. And millennials are the imposter syndrome generation. Like, I don't know who told us that we can't do what we want to do, but they need to be quiet, because like the sooner we start, the more experience we get. One, yes, but then that we can actually live authentically the sooner we start. If we keep waiting for all of these titles, whatever these things are that they say we need, it's kind of like we're never gonna do it, or we might get burnt out, or we might just find something else to distract us from actually living in our purpose. So I'm grateful that she started when she did and is continuing to, get to that next level when she's ready. But right now we need it, because
we do.
Even she talked about self-regulation. I never really thought about, that in that context. But I've seen, like, I work with toddlers at a church I live in Atlanta. And I remember like thinking like, this polo baby can't tell me nothing. No way. If something's going on, they don't know what words to use. So I'm just gonna sit here with you and feel this with you, because we definitely need to take care of our children more, and not just like she said, what was it when she mentioned, like how we say just get over it? It's like part of adolescence. It is what it is.
We're gonna stop saying that, because basically you're just casting aside what I'm going through. And that's not fair, because I'm going through it. Like, I'm literally going through it. Help me.
My feelings are valid.
Yeah, don't just say, like, don't just brush it off. It's nothing to brush off.
Exactly. So Jacky and I are going to transition now to our feel-good vibe of the day, which is joke time with Jacky. If this is the first time you are joining us, Jacky will tell us the corniest dad jokes she has, and I'm going to try my best to answer it with a corny response. But at the end of the day, the main goal is to laugh. So whether you're watching on Facebook and you want to use the laughing reaction, or you want to drop your laughing emoji in the comments, make sure you do it, because I am ready to hear these jokes today, Jacky.
Okay.
When she starts like this, for those of you that are just joining or didn't know, it's already funny.
What kind of doctor does a duck visit?
What kind of a quack? A quack.
It's so easy. It's so dumb. A duck tour. You just changed. Okay. What do you call a priest that becomes a lawyer?
A priest that becomes a lawyer?
This is so good.
I don't know.
A father-in-law.
What, man?
Right? Okay, last one. Why did the police officer cry over a ticket?
It was for him.
It was a moving violation. Okay.
Why, Sway? You know, it's you know what?
His sensitive. Let him be sensitive.
And he absolutely, after our conversation with Sean, he absolutely can feel all the feels. I am like you, Sean. I am just like, sis.
My favorite one is father-in-law.
That was definitely, I like that one. That was definitely a good one. As always, Jackie and I hope that today's Feel Good Vibe of the day has you ready to make it a great one. Thank you so much for watching and engaging with this episode of Good Day Bermuda, supported by Peter's and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Terry Tuku alongside Jackie Lambert. We trust we'll see you next week for more Feel Good conversations. Until the next episode, peace and have a good day, Bermuda.